causes. But how can this vote buying in itself be stopped? Is there any way out? This is a discussion, but you can be part of it, of course, and you have to just sign in, or perhaps follow us on all our socials and leave your comments. We have in our studio here to discuss this particular topic. It's Mr. Sam Agwa. He is a public affairs analyst. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Benjamin. My sister, thank you so much.
I would like to just get your perspective first. When the word vote buying comes to mind, or rather, when you hear it, what comes to mind?
Well, vote buying is one big criminal act, which I think casually I should say is like giving a bribe. Giving somebody a bribe to do something. So vote buying basically, which is a process. I call it a process because vote buying is not just the demonstrable side of it is what you see physically on election day, but it has a history. It doesn't just start on that day of election. It's a process that follows. That day of election is only the climax of it. So you're just actually giving a bribe to have your way. In this case, I give you, Benjamin, or my sister, a bribe so that you vote for me or you vote for my candidate, which is very, very wrong.
Okay, let me bring this to you and you understand. So I want to ask you whether this is true, whether it's true or not. And this is coming from the annulment of the June 12, 1993, yes, presidential election. And I'm trying to get what the president said. He said there were proofs as well as documented evidence of what a widespread use of money during the party primaries as well as the presidential election. Evidence available to government put the total amount of money spent by the presidential candidates at over 2 billion 100 naira, 2 billion or 2.1 billion, so to say. The use of money was again the major source of undermining the electoral process. This was coming from the president. Why? One of the reasons, and one of the major reasons, according to him, that then the president, the head of state, Ubangida, said this was why the June 12 presidential, this was why the annulment for the June 12 came to be. When we say this is a history, or one of the histories of vote buying, but I think it starts before this time.
Well, let me just digress a bit. I don't buy into the stuff IBB is talking about. Vote buying was what or could have been one of the reasons he annulled the June 12 presidential election. Vote buying has always existed with us, even from the time immediately we got independence. It has always been, because somebody sits somewhere in a market square, tells people to come. It's been there. Now, if we're talking about 2 billion in some 2.5 decades back, it means if it's today, we should be talking about maybe something in trillion. Yes, like I said, vote buying starts from processes, internal democratic processes of parties. Let me use the wrong word, it's a culture. It's there. Because for me to become a delegate or for me to become even a party official or something, a lot of monies exchange hands. So we are just carrying over a problem that now comes and meets that voter on the day of election. And remember, that vote buying that you're seeing on election is happening because the politician has just come to harvest those he couldn't get previously, because you wouldn't know everybody in the polling unit and as such. So you see, this issue of vote buying, for me, we are going to live with it for long, no matter what we do. Maybe I'm trying to preempt you, but the safest way is for us to ensure that whoever gets involved in this is treated, given a kind of treatment that can serve as a deterrent. It's something that must be, a politician is an aged person. He even if he believes he has structures, he's still not very he doesn't want to take chances. So that day, monies are loaded in the pockets of people to do these things. It's something that, whether you see it or you don't see it, it exists. Whether you are the winner or the loser, even the loser attempts vote buying. Well, some may not, on account of they don't even have the resources. But I bet you, I've been in the political game for long, we all buy votes. But we come that day of election for purposes of those we couldn't get good access to previously. Yeah.
Okay, speaking of elections, the Ekiti election is the major elections that has been conducted
a few days ago.
Of the Electoral Act 2022, and the British High Commission has come out to commend that elections. In your opinion, observing everything that went on there, how would you describe the entire processes?
Well, I also had people on ground, friends. Vote buying took place. But you see, these things are very challenging. Let me just be answering not in a very structured way. The person that they say has participated in the vote buying is a member of the community. The community is excited because they have seen 500, 1,000, 5,000, depending on how you are weighed. In fact, some persons, you can actually, it could even be 100,000, because they also have other people they can pull into it. This happens. Now the issue is arresting the person that is involved in vote buying becomes a problem, because the chain in vote buying is so democratized in the corruption arena in such a way that when you discover somebody is arrested, it's probably the person could not buy his way out of being arrested. So Ekiti is a sad story. These things happen. Forget about what politicians come to talk this and that. Of course, even without the vote buying necessarily, maybe the results could have still turned out this way. Because that vote buying, what it constitutes. Okay, let's look at the figure like 10. Vote buying accounts for like 3. The 7 already have made up their mind previously, or they have been bought previously. Because I buy you before the election day. I ensure that when you go, you deliver with your team. And then I also buy on the election day for those that quick fixes, just low hanging, and just take 500, take that. So it's a comment. It's a situation that happened. Even the 2023 election, don't deceive yourself, it's still going to happen. Even in a consulship election, it will still happen. The only thing we can do is to ensure that if we get at somebody that is perpetrating this, let the punishment be so severe that it can serve as a deterrent. It's like soccer, a game of football. People match fixing, and you can't stop. It's a society problem. It's just finding manifestation.
There is something you said about in your opening speech, and before now even.
Yeah.
That you said it's a culture.
Yeah. It's Nigerian political culture. The gene is genetic. Every Nigerian politician knows I have to buy votes. I'm in the industry. I'm in the game. Not that I buy votes, but I follow the processes. So you see, at party levels, monies are voted for vote buying. They will not call it vote buying. They will just call it. They can call it logistics. They can even target money to pay for agents, but coded in a language, because there must be somebody to do that. Even in places that you are popular as a politician, it's a tendency for you to ensure that let me mop up properly. So the people are even aware, and then so when I call it culture, it's not that it's what excites me. It's what is there. Even now, politicians will always be perfecting how they will still do the vote buying. It's bribe. It's the same society issues. You give a bribe to somebody to have it. That's just what it is. The only thing is that it happens once in a while during election time. So you can see the quality of governance is affected immediately at that point. Because the party that is bragging it has structures still ends up buying votes. I could claim I have 10,000 people in this council. So why am I coming to buy votes? Why can't I? So it's an unfortunate political culture. It's there. It will take time. Don't expect it to go. It's not going anywhere. just find a way to hack down on people and let it serve as a deterrent. It's never going anywhere.
Okay, Sam, obviously vote buying has no place in our democracy, but
It shouldn't.
something that we have going on, and it affects us. We'll talk about the impact first on the political parties, on the when they're finally elected, how that affects their delivery in terms of quality leadership to the people and governance, and then on the part of the people now whom sell their votes, how it limits their voices from voicing out on issues that shouldn't be, or policies that are not favorable to them.
Well, from the beginning, the politician or the political party that wants to bring about bad governance sets out to bring it. It's not that vote buying. The vote buying only contributes. Listen, let me shock you.
Okay.
I want to encourage every voter, if somebody comes to buy your vote, to collect the person's money. But remember that the person is bribing you. As such, go and work against the person, but collect the money. Let the money not be wasted. Because even if the money goes back, the person that collects the money, he may not entirely retire it like that. He will say it was used for that purpose. See, this is how bad governance begins, though. But fundamentally, the party, through its internal democratic systems and arrangements, has already caused so much problem in itself. This vote buy is only just a tiny part. To me, it's just less than 5% of the issue. Because fundamentally, yes, it shouldn't be. But if I sell, that is why I'm saying, let the citizen know that, no, once I collect money from you that is vote buying, automatically I should vote against you. But I should eat the money. Because why should you come and buy my vote? But in terms of governance, in terms of delivery, it's not, that is not even the main issue. The main issue is that the setup of the party processes itself is shrouded in so much of wuru-wuru fundamentally. So most of these parties, their structures, they are built on wuru-wuru. So what you are seeing, the vote buying, is just that tail end of the wuru-wuru just manifesting itself. So yes, it affects governance, but governance is affected even right at the point of where the parties were even preparing for elections. Because the vote buying that you are seeing is also bought institutionally as well. I may not have a proof, but I do know that parties set aside sums of money for institutional structures that come to even monitor elections, which you may not really call it vote buying, but I'm telling you it's vote buying. So it's, look at the chain in the vote buying. So I know for the purpose of this discussion, you are looking at the money I'm giving Benjamin, or I'm giving you, or Benjamin is giving me. But I'm trying to tell you that corporate systems are also recharged sufficiently to either close their eyes to this vote buying.
I was going to ask what beyond this money gratification, whether there are other ways of buying votes, if one will say. But you made mention of something that vote buying cannot be, as if vote buying cannot be stopped. It's going to take, or it will take a long time.
Yeah, let me sound a bit like somebody who is optimistic. Yeah, it may stop. Not in my generation. I'm older than you. I doubt even in yours. You see, culture is something that is very difficult to get rid of. If in your culture you grew up knowing that you are not supposed to eat this or not eat that, it takes you time. Even when you want to come and start eating that thing, that culture, it will really take time. That is why at the beginning I'm talking about, let us see a situation where if Benjamin is involved in vote buying, let's mess him up in a way that it should detract, serve as a deterrent to another person doing it. This thing, listen, do you know that the citizens themselves, because of lack of education and also for poverty in the land, they are also expecting on election day that somebody is going to do something. So when I use this word culture or stuff, the citizens, in fact, they are even shocked that you are speaking grammar to them without doing something. Because vote buying takes different form. It could be that right at the voting point, we could just corner some people off, sit at and eat a joint. drink some beer. I can hide under the beer, or and then vote buying can tell, gentlemen, go and vote now. Go and vote, come back and continue. Hey, barman, you know, it takes different forms, different shapes. So that money exchange is just even one of it.
But if for instance, some people will say, for you to have a way of manipulating the maybe the workers, the INEC workers, or the electoral workers, so to say, making sure that they do your bidding, sort of. Does that amount to vote buying?
Well, in strict definitional, operational definitional terms, it may not be vote buying. That level of sorting could have its name, okay, which I wouldn't know. But if we want to have a decent discussion, let's all lump it into vote buying, because technically, if it is INEC or civil defense or whoever, or even monitoring teams that are there, that one you are giving them, they are not voting. So we may not technically call it vote buying, maybe another name, but it's still part of this chain, because you're trying to ensure that if Benjamin calls me as an INEC person or civil defense person to the state, I said, no, we didn't see any vote buying. And we didn't, that one could just be at the level of closing your eyes or your mouth or so. But it's a sad culture. Okay. We have to live with it for some time.
All right. In as much as you won't like to put the blame on politicians, that set out to buy votes.
Politicians, just blame is politicians.
Some other people may argue that most of the blame falls back again on the people. In as much as there is this excuse of people being vulnerable, poverty and all of that. But don't they understand the consequences of selling their vote as to the long-term effect compared to the short-term pleasure they may gain from that little resources?
They don't understand. The voter or the masses doesn't understand he's doing the wrong thing. Fundamentally, they think that they have, they have chopped party. That is how in my local, they think that they have chopped party. They think that, we too, this is what we can get. They are not bothered about whether this will affect construction of a road in their community. Yes, of course, they need to enlighten people to be aware of these things. But I bet you, how will a poor person see money? Okay, I'm hungry. I see food here. And then you are telling me, grandma, that this food is blah, 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 blah. I will not take it. Now, politicians squarely are the people to be blamed. Don't even blame the masses. It's like Esau selling his birthright in the Bible.
But
the guy was hungry, for heaven's sake. He was dying. So he had to sell his birthright.
But he knew that he was hungry and he was selling it.
Yeah, but he wanted to quench the hunger. Because that 500 naira gives me ice fish that day. So for me, carry your 4 years and go.
We have scenarios where in some communities, politicians go there with the mind not to even buy votes, but to just, pour out their hearts, let the people see their true intentions. But then the communities say, are you giving us something or not? Or you're just wasting our time?
You see, once a bad seed is sown, I talked about culture. I'm trying to avoid getting too political. You see, what these big parties have cost for Nigeria is so big. They entrench these things. So any serious politician, whether from the big parties or anywhere, that comes now and begins to just speak, people laugh at it. Because in the final analysis, when you finish your speech, people will still ask you that, what have you brought for us? So sometimes, if you don't have something, not just at the level of that vote buying, like I told you, this is a chain. If you want it technically, vote buying starts at that point. Of that impoverished local voter who, out of ignorance or whatever, is asking you that brings something. Because usually when people come to do politics, they bring something. Wrong culture, but we have lived with it. We can only try to take punitive actions that will address these things, and gradually maybe people may find it it will not be something people will patronize. Because the reality of it is that just blame the politician and leave it. Because it's the politician that has refused to even educate the masses on the right thing. Why can't you tell people the right? They will not do, because they are interested in what they will get, the votes, and move. Have their 4 years again, maybe wait for another term again, maybe wait for another term again. So yes, they need to give education to the masses of this country. But that education I'm proposing, it should come with an education that if you are giving money, just take it that it's the devil that has given you money. Chop the devil's money and go and do what you want. Let's not just educate them to allow the cash go.
Okay. Let's go on a short break, and when we come back from the break, we'll be looking at still vote buying, but other people have the opinion that it's beyond the election day vote buying. I will come back to look at the multiple angles of vote buying. Let's go on a short break. One of the pillars that support every democracy is credible elections, which guarantees the stability of emerging democracies. Popular opinion indicates that credible elections strengthen the rule of law, ballot secrecy, separation of powers, independence of the judiciary, and further allow citizens to take part in governance. However, it is alleged that in some developing countries, elections are plagued with problems of vote buying. Opinions on social media indicate that vote buying and selling during elections has been allegedly devised by politicians or electoral candidates. In Nigeria's recent political history, there is a major turn in the way vote buying and selling is conducted through giving out money and, in some cases, luxury goods to influence people and public opinion. Speaking, some residents of Makurdi, the Benue state capital, bear their minds on the menace of vote buying. In their opinion, vote buying is caused by poverty and ignorance.
One of the causes of vote buying is specifically idleness. How do I mean? Idleness in the sense that the politicians don't normally go out to the field to converse for vote and tell the electorates what they have in stock for them. They will be waiting. They will be waiting till on that D-Day instead of going to the field to canvass for that on that D-Day due to the poverty nature of our environment. They will prefer to come and be giving 5 naira to the electorates to vote for them.
There is indiscipline all over in the country. So nobody think of the society. People think of self. Once the society or the structure is faulty or the system is faulty, no aspect of the system can never be easy.
One of them is that I want to win by all means. I want to win by all means. So the person who wants to buy the votes wants to get the win at all costs. So he goes all out to buy. It's just like a treasure to him. So he says what he has, all he has, to go and buy the votes and then wins.
On the consequences of vote buying, they say bad governance and emergence of bad leaders are the major consequences of vote buying.
The vote buying is the reason for the underdevelopment of Nigeria today, because they are there for their personal aggrandizement. I've invested so amount. I'm coming to make profit from my investment. They're not coming actually to come and give dividend or democracy.
The consequence of that is that when he gets to the seat, when he wins finally, the aim is to get back what he has given out during the campaign or whatever, and then ensures that he gets all what he wants back. So there will be nothing for the masses.
They also say increase in political education will go a long way in eliminating vote buying in Nigeria's electoral system.
Way forward is political education. We have done a lot of voter education. That is why you see people are queuing now to go and get their vote. So we are finished with that phase of voter education, not political education. It will let people know that the 5 naira or 10 naira or whatever amount you are collecting today to say your conscience, it will not lead, catapult you into years of slavery.
Political education and the church and other opinion leaders too to do more in terms of educating the populace on the issue, the disadvantages of vote buying.
Political analysts say vote buying obstructs democratic rule and is a threat to the conduct of credible elections. Patrick Aka.
There you go. I hear what the people say about how they feel about vote buying. Some say it's a way of recouping what politicians have spent, and I think that is what Sam Agwa is also saying. And I believe your thoughts are, you totally align with your thoughts with this.
Yeah, significantly. Where I want to press on further is on the side of the politician, a person that is buying his votes or his agents or whatever. You see, poverty, let's face reality. A poor person, if you are giving him an education saying vote buying is bad, the best way the poor person will appreciate that education is for you to also add the fact that if that money is popped to you, collect it, go and chop it, but take it that the person that has given you money is a bad guy. He ought not to have done that. In that way, it will begin to shock politicians that, wait, I spent 1 million in this polling booth or in this local government to buy votes. What happened? So it's one clever way of naturally killing this. Anybody that gives you money to vote for him, collect it and take it that that person is a wrong person, because he's not supposed to give you money. He's supposed to talk to you.
I bring you this, and I read somewhere and someone said that the closer ties of a voter to a particular party, there's a likelihood that the person will definitely be leaning towards vote buying and will be receptive to vote buying. Is it possible?
Yes, I agree very well. If I love party A, the tendency is that if somebody in party A wants to give me money to vote for the person, I will be inclined. But the point is, we want the masses or the voter to appreciate the fact that it shouldn't just be about you love a party. If you love a party, why should the party be trying to buy that vote from you again? So for me, anybody that gives money, raw money, or an inducement on election day, or that come and vote for me, he ought to have done his vote buying prior to coming there and moving around. And this goes to even the security agencies. Why should people carry 2 million, 1,500,000 to a polling station and they are seated there? Why should we even condone such things?
Okay, I was going to also ask you something based on what many people have observed, and they said the stages of vote buying.
Yeah.
Some say that it even starts with voter registration.
Yeah.
Some say it starts with the party nomination.
Yeah.
And I think that is what we saw recently in where you have the primaries and where a lot of, and before the campaigns as well,
yeah.
Because the money people spend on campaigns is supposed to be, I think INE has pegged a particular amount.
Those are more theoretical stuff. So don't. I don't.
Yeah, even though they are theory, but they're actually meant to guide and perhaps to shape.
At least let the books show that we have pegs.
Are they just for books?
Yes, it can work in reality.
How?
Take for instance, I come and give you 10 million. There's no way the system or the radar can pick that money. So there's so much that goes on unnoticed. let me not dive to that, but let me come to the point you were trying to talk about stages.
Yeah, are these actually the stages of vote buying? Talking about voters registration, talking about.
You see, that's why we need to, maybe with time we can construct a better definition of vote buying, so that he can, maybe an academic way of looking at it. Yes, let's treat these stages as vote buying, since the ultimate thing is to win favor. Yes, I was trying to look more at vote buying from
the cash
and that direct raw. Now, if I make it difficult for people in your constituency to have access to do their PVC, you know, I have obstructed a lot. Politicians do that. They manipulate a system to ensure that where they know they have a disadvantage, or they have an advantage, depending on whichever. So, yes, I agree. So at that point, you may end up discovering that maybe 1 week to end of registration of for PVC or something, and the INEC people may come, and maybe they will just do few people and they say time has finished. No, it's a chain. That is why when I say the way do I use the word called the way our political system is corrupted, is so huge. Now come to a level of even trying to let the security agent know that, please, Oga, just close your eyes to this thing. The security agent is not voting, but I can close his eyes with a 50,000 or maybe a 5,000 that please let this matter end. So in the end, we only hear on social media that Sam was attempting to buy votes, but somehow then the case will die. It's a whole big issue. That is why I said the one that you see on that day of voting is not even a big deal. It is these stages, because this is an industry. For people that are even the carriers of this box that are doing the vote buying, it's also an industry for them, because they also get something. So it's a whole gamut of stuff, right from the processes of the party primaries that you even mentioned. You've heard how a delegate can overnight wake up and be a millionaire for doing nothing. These are all issues. They interfere with that final product. So that one that comes to that poor man going to vote, and that's why I'm advocating, let's not stop that poor voter from collecting that 5,000 or 1,000. But let's educate him that when you collect it, know that the person that has given you is your enemy. That is not the point he would have given you. He's trying to eat into your future. I want a situation where monies that come out for vote buying, if you are giving, collect it, but work against the person that gives you the money. That way, politicians will learn better. Beyond the fact that let's try to hack on that person that has done it and let punitive action be taken. The best way is, your money has not given you result now. So one day you will stop giving money.
And you don't think that would result to act of violence, electoral violence revolving around elections? Because where I am certain I gave you certain money, there is an agreement, and then talk about integrity again in question. I gave you money to cast vote for me, you collected the money, and then did not live up at the end of your bargain. Don't you think that would not have to do with post-election violence?
I don't want to be very theoretical. The reality of it is that you are giving me money that I need. I'm not going to oblige to that contract. I know. How will it lead to violence? So if you gave 100 people in a polling booth money and they didn't vote for you, and then afterwards you go and tell them to bring that 500 naira you were giving them because they didn't vote for you, how do you know in this ballot box which votes are counted for the person you gave money or not? Let's talk things in reality. So you are tempted with money, you are seeing cash. Yeah, you have the guts to bluff the cash. I encourage you, because that is good principles. But I bet you 80% of the people will find it difficult to bluff this cash. So is that group, I'm telling them that collect the cash. This is criminality. Okay, let's do double criminality. I also chop your money, but I don't do what you want to do. Politicians will learn a lesson.
Let me add to what you said and what my colleagues have said.
Yes.
In Ekiti State, that is the 2018 election. That's July 14th. This is what a retiree said, or he claimed that what happened. He said he claimed that an APC agent And this is what he said: I was offered 5,000 to vote for the party, but I rejected it. I am 73 years old, retired teacher. I cannot allow the future of my children to be bought by money bags. I don't know how we descended to this level when people brazenly offer money to people to secure their votes. It was not like this in the past. Will our votes count with this problem? This is from Punch.
Yeah, I like the guy.
And
a true patriotic Nigerian.
Yes, you talked about bluffing up the money, the
he
cash.
Bluffed.
Yeah.
This guy bluffed.
Again, the major question here the guy is asking, this retiree is asking, unfortunately the name is not captured, this.
Yeah.
Will the votes count?
What do you mean by will the votes count? The votes will count.
With all of this money,
remember, he rejected. Maybe some did not reject. Collected that 5,000 and voted. All of us voted in the same box. That means he that rejected the 5,000, I that collected, 2 votes have gone into the box. At the end of the day, the votes will be counted. It will be difficult for us to know the vote that came in on account of somebody that rejected a bribe or somebody that accepted a bribe. Because in the final analysis, we will adjudge the election was free and fair. We don't know what has happened behind. So my point here is...
Again, just to add to what my colleague said, because that of vote buying, collecting cash and voting, there are approaches to it. And 2 approaches, of course. You have cash for vote and vote for cash. Where you are giving the cash to vote. And the other approach is you vote
and you come and collect
you collect it. So you see there are 2 ways of perhaps the politicians, so to say, have crafted or found a way of making sure that he ensures he gets the vote. Head to tail, he gets the vote. So now, if perhaps the cash to vote isn't working, the man says that yes, the vote to cash should work. So how can you bluff?
Now, 2 things. Let's imagine I go and vote. I vote against you. But I come out to tell you that I voted for you. Give me the cash.
No,
Will you? I'm coming. Yeah. We're talking about somebody that says, when you go and vote for me, come, I will give you cash. Because the person doesn't want to take chances. The politician wants a situation where, let me not just give you money and you just go and do it anyhow. But my question is, when you are going to vote, you vote only you. Am I correct? In an ideal setup, it's you that votes and come out. So I come out to you, Benjamin, now, and I say, Benjamin, I have voted. Give me my 3,000. I want to know how you will know that I voted for you or not. That means, head or tail, politicians are daily crafting these things, which we should keep frustrating. Because if at the end of the day, you people vote, come and collect cash from you, and when the votes are counted, you still lose election. Something should ring in your head that next time it is not cash.
But the politicians too has also gone ahead a bit that except now that the INEC, the Electoral Act forbids phones and the rest. In those days, we could see that people go vote and snap. And that is the proof. You vote, you snap that you voted, and then you come out before you collect the cash. But
so thanks to technology, thanks that it is trying to resolve some of these issues naturally. And as we grow on, we are even envisaging a situation where one day people may even vote without necessarily going to a stringent polling booth or so. So these things are helping. But for me, my point remains. The politician is the one that finds himself in leadership. The politician that bought the vote comes back to leadership. He knows that worked for him. So he keeps on in the next election to see how best he can do this. Whether vote first, come and collect, or collect first, go and vote. For me, the voter has to frustrate all this. If you are strong enough to bluff the money, bluff it. If you are weak like Eso, or too hungry to collect the money, collect it, let the person go to hell. There will be no problem. Nothing will happen. The politician will only learn a lesson. And if you know, these are community things. These are people know everything that goes on. So it will be extremely difficult for a politician. Let's hit the politician hard, head or tail, whichever way you come, frustrate. But I'm telling you that not many people will see cash and walk away from it.
Okay, earlier you alluded to the fact that vote buying is a long chain, and the only way that we'll get rid of this is if people are prosecuted when caught. And then it's in line with this that the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project that is set up, gave a 7-day ultimatum to Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, that is chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to probe those allegedly buying votes during Ekiti elections. And then during an interview with the chairman of INEC, he said that INEC doesn't have the responsibility to probe those that allegedly were involved in vote buying, because there are different bodies on the day of elections saddled with different responsibilities. What's your take on this issue?
Well, you see, let me veer off a bit. For me, fundamentally, the best way to deal with the issue of vote buying, I want to repeat it, controversial as I may seem, is frustrate the politician directly, either by refusing his money or collecting his money. This prosecution, I listened to Festus Okoye too. INEC seems to be saying, no, it's not us that we go up, a report has to be submitted. Now, the bureaucracy around trying to sort out vote buying, the bigger the bureaucracy, the more the cost to trying to. So maybe by the time you want to prosecute some, you might have spent so much trying to even bring the facts up for me to be prosecuted. I love that, but I think there should be a way that at the level of teamwork between INEC and security officials, these things should run seamless. So for me, prosecution, I love it. I earlier even said, let's deal with that person, serve as a deterrent, blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you that it will be very difficult. I know that, sorry to sound very unpatriotic, most people that are arrested or will be arrested are people that for whatever reason could not sort out themselves. That is why they are even arrested and brought up that they were buying votes. The way the system works, I'm part of the system. Not in the vote buying, but I've watched election, I have been in politics for long. I can tell you that there may be pockets of people that this will be used to serve as a deterrent, blah, 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 blah. But for me, I love legislation, but let the voter himself be empowered to know that if you can't reject the box, collect it. Vote against the politician.
Sam, if you don't deal with this problem from the roots, whereas other agencies on ground turn a blind eye when vote buying is taking place, simply because they feel it is not responsibility of their body to make arrest or call to order, then it will get to a situation where the political parties will not even tell INEC, show them the ballot, let them vote right in the presence of the political parties to confirm that the vote is actually for me before I give you back the resources. It will because if we make room for lawlessness and the lack of order in any system, therefore we'll be bringing bigger problems.
Nobody is advocating that there shouldn't be laws, regulations and stuff. Okay, look at what INEC is telling you. I cannot arrest. I have only 4 staff. They're also looking at, because they want a report to come. When it comes, they will now join with the security agencies to effect that prosecution. I clap for it. I endorse it. I'm only further saying, and even if this is the only thing I will say on this program, I'm emphasizing the fact that the best way to deal with these matters, you may have lengthy litigations that, something may come out of it. Voter, Mr. Voter, listen to me. If they give you money, don't take. Vote against them. If you think you are tight, collect their money, vote against them. This trade will become so unpatronizing as time goes on that politicians will now know that if I give people money, it will not work. For me, it's a better software solution to it than a raw legal thing. I love the legal. It will go on. Maybe in the next 4 or 5 months, some people may be prosecuted. It may take 1 year. Serve as a different. Deal with them. But for me, I don't want a voter to lose.
Will it be better to say, voter, when they give you money, if you can bluff, you bluff. But if you can't, collect it and vote your mind.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Collect it and vote your mind. Although what I say was collect it and
vote against.
So it may be somebody you love,
yes,
giving you money. So in that case, I don't want a lose-lose. I don't want a voter to lose.
Gentlemen, I fear that if this is not tackled to the point where INEC takes decisive decisions itself against, vote buying on elections, then we'll get to a point where political parties will not even get INEC to show them the slip as to who is casting the vote, so they will see for themselves before making this payment.
Let me commend INEC. INEC is doing a lot with the technology issues and what we are seeing. See, INEC goes to the polling booth with only 4 or 5 staff. Maybe 2, I don't know. INEC cannot, it is when you come and say Sam was buying vote. But at that point you are saying it at that polling booth. There's little INEC can do, because INEC is busy conducting elections. There are people that have arrested. So let that synergy be, which I believe is what INEC seems to be saying. That okay, when these issues come up and the report is written, we can go ahead and encourage that such people are prosecuted, which I have endorsed. I'm only bringing another perspective that may look a bit not orderly to your modern mind. For me, I am saying no money that is brought there should go.
Okay,
take it and do what you want.
Sam, let's look at this. You've continuously, or rather consistently, talked about punitive measures to those who perhaps will be found wanting in that case of vote buying, whichever the chain the person may be caught. And INEC has provided in the 2022 in the new Electoral Act, that is section 22, and perhaps permit me to read to your hearing. It says any person who, that is A, is in unlawful possession of any voter's card, whether issued in the name of any voter or not, or sells or attempts to sell or offers to sell any voter's card, whether issued in the name of any voter or not, or, that is C now, buys or offers to buy any voter's card, whether on his own behalf or on behalf of any other person, commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not more than 500,000 or imprisonment not more than 2 years, or both.
Good punitive measure.
Is it enough?
For me, it's not enough. For me, a vote buyer should be treated as a coupist. Somebody that wants to thwart democracy. He should be treated like somebody who has planned a coup against Nigeria. So for me, that should be stepped up. Maybe for a start, I will go for 5 years, and maybe that sum of money like 2 million, just for a start, so that can serve as a deterrent. Because actually, you are trying to subvert a democratic process. It's a very serious matter, morally, even. Because, I mean, what do you mean that I should take money to vote for you? And you don't even know me, they are just show me, or you go and vote first and come and give whichever way. So for me, it's a good start, but I will go for something from 5 years or so.
Okay, let's go on a short break, and when we come back, perhaps we will take your comments and still continue with the discussion. Join us again. still looking at vote buying and still discussing with Sam Agwa, public affairs analyst. And Sam Agwa, will bring you one of the things the INEC commissioner said, and in regards to vote buying. And he said, whether you will agree with what he said. He said vote buying shows that Nigeria's election is getting harder to rig. This was not, we couldn't find this in the past years, but because the rigging formula or the rigging pattern has changed. So maybe
I agree with INEC.
That's coming from the resident electoral commissioner for Rivers State, Obo Afanga.
Yes, I agree with him significantly. You know, technology has solved lots of issues. So now, issues of ballot stuffing or snatching of ballot boxes, all these things are not there again. So what the politician does is, let's go directly, live, on the spot, influence the voter, so that now, because this one, you know, you cheat technology with this. I give you bribe, you go in, you vote for me, you come out. I give you bribe, you go in, you vote for me, you come out. I agree with him, because it's becoming more difficult. That is why at some point, in fact, possibly, it's just that this may abuse people's rights. You shouldn't even be carrying some kind of cash. If security see you with that on a voting day, they should confiscate it. Because I bet you, these politicians sit with millions of naira in locations, and that this should be monies that shouldn't even be there. I agree with him. So rigging is election rigging is becoming more difficult. That is why these things are rigged at source, manipulating that particular section of people don't register for PVC, doing some kind of kangaroo primaries, doing a lot of these things. That one politicians can perfect at their internal democratic processes, but significant, like the 2023 election. Because now, if you don't do that vote buying, my sister, tell me, nobody is carrying anything. Say it's electronic transmission. There's all these technologies. So what will you do? So they sit down there trying to. So I agree with him. There is an indication that things are getting difficult for the politician. And anything that you can do to deter or make life tough for a politician to unduly influence a voter should be put in place.
And that means it means the Nigeria electoral system is getting a bit better.
In fact, significantly. What I think INEC needs to do more, and I've said it on several fora, is I hope you are seeing the volume of people doing PVC. Let's not have a situation where that day at a polling booth of 1,000 people, you will only be able to accredit only 100 people. Power your systems in a way that the processes of accrediting people to vote should almost be as if they are automatic, because the thing is getting much. So let INEC perfect its system to avoid disenfranchising people on account of they have logistic issues here and there. So commendably, I think we'll get to a point in this country where that is why, in fact, let's go back to your Rivers commissioner. It's getting more tough. That is why people are doing that. Yes, before, they don't even need to buy your vote. All they need to do is to find a way to print and stuff and move and do it and that. So
truly, the new electoral act seems to be working for INEC.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, if you observe from Ekiti election, you see that almost everything went swiftly. In terms of even the beavers were functioning and the timeliness at which INEC arrived at the polls, everything went swiftly. But there's still room for improvement.
That's an off election. So when it comes to a general election,
when you are handling 36 states and Abuja, or in one day or in 2 days, it may be a different ball game and that. That is why I've always said, why can't we have a system in this country that allows elections to run for a week? In that way, you can target your logistics at the level of INEC and run things better. Because this 1 day election thing or 2 day election thing puts so much pressure on the system. So yes, INEC might have passed Ekiti, but we pray
many people have said it's a one-off. It's just maybe an off election
thing to take a decision.
You know,
on
they
the,
say that one bad egg spoils the entire crate of eggs. With that vote buying, that the issue that is still unresolved with the Ekiti elections, and we haven't had people come out yet. Maybe I haven't seen people come out yet to make probes, but then the allegations are so strong, and there are fears that it just tells of what will go on in the general election. There may be serious vote buying in the general election.
like you want to make Benjamin to see me as a pessimist again. there will be more vote buying. I don't want us to deceive ourselves, because every other thing for the politician is almost cut off. It's this vote buying life, either before or on the day that seems to be. Well, because this one is direct, because we want those votes. So for me, let's try to perfect systems that will ensure people that are involved in these criminal acts are picked. And we can suggest jungle justice here that beat them. No, they have to go through but let the security agencies and work a system that anybody that is caught, make that thing so visible. Don't come and tell us that, okay, it's resolved under the table. But for vote buying, it is going to take place. Don't deceive yourself.
Okay. I'm saying, because behind the camera, I asked you, I got a little bit frightened when he said he's going to stay for a long, very, very long time. And,
but we don't like it. Don't think I like it. But I'm telling you, it's going to be. That's why I don't want the money to. If it comes out, people should chop it.
So, but let's look at one other thing here again, because perhaps ways of stopping vote buying, and you also made mention of that fact that the voter is not sufficiently aware or educated.
Yeah.
And what ways do you think should be educated, or a voter should be educated? What are the things he needs to know? And what are the things you think he hasn't known for now and that he needs to know?
Well, fundamentally, everybody knows a bad thing is a bad thing, but that is on a general level. You know that bribe or what you are calling vote buying is bad. Now, the average voter or the person there, what he needs to understand is that, see, these people that come to give you money, they don't mean well for you. On the day of election, you go and vote for them. They don't mean well for you. So our churches, our mosques, our community-based associations need to step up with, the political parties. Yes, significantly they may claim they are also giving the masses awareness that vote buying is wrong and all that. But generally, let's have town halls, sustained interaction, even portions of the electoral act that connects to the citizens, knowing that this person that is trying to sell vote or is trying to do a wrong thing, this is the punishment he can get. Even some of these salient things, let the masses still know. But the point I'm telling you, without being pessimistic, is that yes, cigarette smoking is dangerous to health. We see the billboards everywhere. Use a condom. We see it everywhere. But people still indulge in free sex, indulge in smoking and that. That is why there's another thing I'm adding to this education. After telling you that it is wrong, let me say what you would not like. Still collect the devil's money and chop it and tell the devil to go to hell.
Yeah, but again, there's something here I want to know. Are you convinced that the voter knows the power of his votes?
No. He doesn't know. And this is what he needs to know. That look, this is your vote. In fact, where there is even a tight competition, this your one vote can even make somebody win. This is the level of education the voter needs to. For now, the voter simply understands that I'm going to vote out this man, I'm going to vote in this man. He doesn't even know in terms of whether I'm voting this one out, I'm voting this one in, that he does A, B, C, D, E for me. Yes, actually that is the task politicians and parties engaging with the people should be promoting, should be encouraging. But it's not enough. We need to just keep sustaining this. But for now, the voter just know I have a PVC. This PVC can give me 1,000. This PVC can do that. Then an elite voter like you know that, no, this PVC can actually get somebody out of government or put in a new government. So we just have to keep this sustained sensitization and education. There's nothing more to it. I just don't want a situation where people are educated, people know what is supposed to be done, and then the moment they are facing the temptation of collect money or not collect money, let's even guide them up to that level. Of course, it should be total rejection of the money, but I want a situation where if you cannot reject it.
Because I see that maybe one more other thing that we need to do for the voter, that he needs to know that this particular vote, your one vote, it has the power of providing you a clean water.
Yeah.
That particular one vote has the power of also drawing electricity to you.
Exactly.
That particular vote that you have, and then combined with other votes that are in that same community, can bring you good schools and the same thing. The voter needs to know that in all of that, that is where that particular card you have can give you all of that. But that is one thing I believe many voters don't have an idea.
Yeah.
Beyond the fact that yes, they know that yes, they have a voter card, and you know, okay, let's vote this person in or out.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Benjamin, do you even know that it is because of things like this that makes most politicians feels like demigods, feels unreachable, unapproachable when they finally emerge?
Yeah.
Because they went through so much in trying to get these votes from you. Therefore, you can't even question their policies.
So I'm agreeing. Let's make the voter value that is card, or that is one vote. The moment his conscience, his consciousness is very clear that, look, this is my one vote, added to this one can do this. I think that's the messaging, and I'm happy I got that from Benue TV, and I'm also aligning on that message, because
we're happy to give you
no, this is a good one. Just keep, hey, madam, this your voter's card. Please, for any reason, don't take it that it's a joke. You can actually go, and because that thing you are doing can give you water, can send your child to school, can provide that. So we keep sustained engagement in this.
Okay, but again, as we rightly said, that the other man, the example I gave you of that 73-year-old man who rejected
who refused money,
a vote buying, who rejected 5,000 and said he wouldn't because of that was way back 2018, not far away anyway. But again, some people see some pundits, some political actors just like you would say that there is less trust in the electoral process. For that is why we also have vote buying. So many people don't have so much trust in.
Exactly.
Is that what you also think?
Very correct, because you see, for many people, what a team man will say, doesn't make sense to them.
Agwa, sorry to butt you in here. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll have your thoughts. Let's go on a short break now, and we'll be back after the break.